Genesis chapter 8 conclusion. So this is we are leaving Joseph behind for a while. He is in Egypt, and we are focusing on Judah. I've mentioned it a number of times. This is not without precedent later on in the Bible. The Paul, Peter story in Acts follows the same kind of, starts with Paul. I mean, there's lots of Peter, then a bit of Paul, then some Peter, and a little 2 chapters of Peter, and then we're back to Paul, and we just stay with Paul. Okay, so this is, well, we started with Joseph in the previous chapter with his dreams, then being sold to slavery, and now we are, there's a little bit of Judah in the previous chapter, of Judah saying, let's sell the boy and don't kill him, kind of idea, because he was thinking of, we know we can make some money here. And in this chapter we are focusing on Judah. It's not just a story that somebody just sort of later on, now we need to do something here about Judah because Judah is the one from which Jesus will come, therefore we need to say something about Judah. I explained this is not true, this is not by accident, this is by design like this. And because ultimately this is a story of Jacob, right? The line of Jacob and the sons of Jacob, and Judah is the son of Jacob, and he is going to be ultimately a very important son of Jacob. But for now, the most important son of Jacob is going to be Joseph, because he is the one who will, we're now in Egypt, who will become the second in command there in Egypt, and will ultimately be the one used by God to save his people, his family, plus see them grow into a nation. Okay, where they will be protected while they're growing into a nation by the Egyptians, by the superpower of the day, the America of the day kind of idea. Okay, so their protection. Right, but this is this chapter, and something important is going to happen. We're going to see more of the character of Judah. The character of Judah is not a good character at all. In the previous chapter, we've seen that he is like selfish and just thinking of himself, egoist. And this chapter, even more so, it comes very clear. And Moses clearly paints us this picture of Judah everywhere in the wrong, and his sons in the wrong, and Tamar in the right. So the girl is the only one that comes out kind of clean in this chapter. Right? She's doing because of her, there's David. Because of her doing the right thing in being fruitful and multiplying, as God told, in doing the cultural correct thing as well, while her father-in-law, Judah, did not. He did the wrong thing everywhere. Okay, so Judah started off wrong by leaving his brothers, right? Like Dinah before. Okay, going to the people of, and then ultimately she was raped, and we know how all of that ended. If you don't know, go read the previous chapters and listen to my previous teachings on the whole Dinah story, and then her brothers Levi and Simeon, and the murder of the people there at Shechem. Right, that's in another video. I'm not going to go back to that here. You can go back and listen to it, like it and subscribe it. Okay, right. Anyhow. After this advertisement, let's continue. So Judah is doing the same kind of thing. So there's that connection, like with Dinah there, with Judah here. He's leaving. He is not there where he's supposed to. He's not under protection anymore. He's going to the side. He's leaving the straight and the narrow, going to the side. And he makes a friend with a Gentile. And this friend will always lead him. But he's been led, and he allows himself to be led. Okay, and so he goes to this Canaanite woman. She gives birth. We've seen how Judah named the first son, then the Canaanite woman the second son, Onan, and then Shelah the third son, which by his birth, Judah wasn't even there. Okay, so we can from that, I think, draw a conclusion that the love for his wife kind of went less and less. The flame burned out. Okay, so gets married to Tamar, and was a sinner, egregious sinner, or kind of he did something really bad. We don't know exactly what. Okay, we can speculate, but whatever. And then he died. In whichever way, but ultimately, as they believed, if you die young, then it's because of sin, and therefore the hand of God in this. So that is why it's called that. So God killed him, right? And they know none, as the culture dictates. He needs to bring forth an offspring for his line, keep the line for his brother going, his older brother or elder brother. But he didn't want to. He was like his father, very selfish, just thinking of himself. He didn't want to work for somebody else's line. Okay, so he would just make sure that Tamar could not get pregnant, and this was evil in God's eye, and so he died, right? And by now, Judah have one son left, and he's afraid that the reason they're all dying is because of Tamar. So he stops and he says, "Okay, Tamar, you go back home. My other son Shelah is a bit young. Let him grow older. Then he can get married. Don't worry, I will give you will, and all will be good." While actually his intent was, never ever will I give my son to her, right? He most likely either hoped that because, according to him, she is in the wrong, she will therefore die, God will kill her off sooner or later, and he will be free. Or, I don't know what, most likely that other version. But if she's not the guilty one, then she will still be alive, and they need all to have told Judah that actually giving Shelah to her is not more dangerous, or is not a danger to him, except if again he will be like his brothers and sin. So he did not give her, and Tamar was waiting. Then Tamar heard that Shelah is growing up. He's not given to her as husband. She starts to understand what's going on. I mean, she seemingly was not a fool in the way how she planned everything. She clearly was not a fool. Very wise. And so what plan did she come up with? She heard that he's going to go to the sheep shearers. His wife died. He mourned. I guess he mourned for her, put on the crocodile tears, but I don't think he really cared that much by then. But anyhow, there was a culture and a way, at least he had to play the game and show as if he's mourning for her. And then he went to this like sheep shearing party after the shearing is done. The shearing is done, and she heard about this, so she made a plan. She dressed up, kind of cover her face, which then implied that she's a prostitute, went to the road, and she knew who Judah was. So I've said in the previous videos as well, in the teaching part, so clearly Judah was this kind of a person who went around to other girls, other women, and not faithful to his wife. And since Tamar knew it, if Judah wasn't, then this plan would not have worked. And so the fact that she came up with a plan like this clearly implies that she knew that he was this kind of a person and this plan might work. So she did it, and she went, and lo and behold, here he comes. And he did. He wanted to have intercourse with her, and but now you're supposed to pay, and he's willing to pay goat for her to take sins away, kind of idea, right? Yeah, right. This is not going to take his sin away. This is not going to make amends for this kind of a sin. But anyhow, he does have, understandably, the goat with him. So what now? You can't scan a code and pay online or something like that. So these days can do. If you don't have money with you, etc., right? So he can't do that. And she knows, and she could see, and she knows. But what he will have with her is all these things showing who he is, proving that he is who he is. The staff and all the other things. So she says, "Okay, you give that to me." And then when you have the goat, you send the goat, I will send this back to you. Okay, that's kind of normal. It means just like you give your passport, you want to rent a boat here or something like that. You leave your passport, they give you a boat, you go up and out, and then you come back, you give the boat back, pay if the boat's okay, pay extra if you're not, and get your passport back, right? Kind of normal. So this was the idea as well here. But that was never Tamar's idea, because Tamar wanted to keep it. Okay, because Tamar wanted, when others hear about it, that she was unfaithful, that will get back to Judah, and that Judah will be able to see that he was the guilty one, and then nothing will happen. Otherwise, she was in big danger. I mean, how would she prove that he was the one that did it to her? So she had the proof. And therefore, after this act, she disappeared. Then the friend was sent to find, he couldn't find her. Then again we see Judah being, okay, don't stop this, we're not going to find her, everybody's going to laugh at us. So we will be then, people will think less of us. And so let bygones be bygones kind of idea. Right? Then he found out 3 months later that she's pregnant, and his immediate reaction, burn her, because as I've explained in the teaching part, that means that she was always the wrong one if she was unfaithful, not his sons. So his sons are actually not bad. She is the bad one, so they died because of her. And so Judah himself wasn't right by not giving Shelah. And so all his problems solved. She is dead. Shelah can get another wife. They might be able to have kids, and all will be well. Okay, Shelah will be then only working for himself, or his line kind of, our lines dies out, but at least that's not the end of the world. Their line will continue. His line will continue ultimately. But then here comes the proof that actually he was the guilty one. And he realizes that because he didn't give his son, she wasn't right. And he is wrong. And so ultimately, if he wanted to go through with this burning her, then he had to die there on the stake with her as well, because that is the law. And she was not. She was, like he stated, more righteous than him. Okay, her plan worked. It worked even better than she could imagine or plan for, because there's no way she could have planned for getting pregnant from one time, for one intercourse session, being together. Right? She could not have planned for that if it happened, but now in this case, the plan worked a lot better, because now she is pregnant. And actually, in that sense, she can give and twins born. So from which ultimately David will come, and Boaz, and then David, and then Jesus will come. Okay, so God allowed for that, and it worked out in a way then kind of perfectly. Although again, the foundation of it all was very bad. Sin. Right. So what can we take for ourselves from this? And I've spoken about this a number of times. Those early fathers, like the early church fathers, man, they made mistakes, and they were wrong in lots of theological things. The disciples, they were wrong in so many things. When Jesus was crucified, only John was there at the cross. The rest all splintered off. One sold him out, another one denied him. Okay, so, and it's the same with the patriarchs. They were not good guys. Okay, so again, and I've mentioned this so many times before, the Bible is very clear about this. The fact that they were chosen by God was not because they were good guys, they were righteous guys. Even here, Judah had to say, she is more righteous than me. Okay? And only ultimate righteousness is what can save one. And only one person had ultimate righteousness, that is Jesus, no one else. Okay? So the Bible is very clear, and I really can't understand how Christians can go around with this idea of, oh, well, we're not that bad. We can save ourselves, and we can make a choice for God and stuff like that. We're not good at all. He was unrighteous. These are the fathers of the faith, from which we ultimately come in faith. They were bad people, not deserving of any grace from God. But God, out of this evil that they committed, the selfishness of Judah, He is going to bring forth Boaz. He's going to bring forth David. He's going to bring forth Jesus, right? So it's not because of them and their righteousness that Jesus came. Jesus didn't die ultimately for them or came to earth because they were such good people, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Judah, right? Not at all. It's just the grace of God. So please, well understand people, we have all, like sinners, gone astray. We don't deserve life. We deserve death. But God, through the Son, His Son, Jesus Christ, who was the only perfect, righteous man, and in Him we are then righteous. In Him we can be saved. Not our own righteousness, His righteousness. Not because we deserve it, but by grace and grace alone. So never forget that, and stop thinking that you are making a choice to choose God, because you can't. You don't want to. Right? Like these guys. This is who we are. So stop thinking like that and give the glory and the honor to God for your salvation. Stop telling people that you made a choice. The only choice you can make is to sin, because you're a slave to sin. The only choice you can make is for hell. That's the choice you make. But because of God's grace in choosing, He makes it possible for us to choose, because He changes through His Spirit our dead hearts and gives us new hearts. That, through Christ, His righteousness, the only way. Praise God. Amen.